Death Knights existed since the Orcish invasions. However, with the Lich King and Arthas, they became a really big deal, but slowly throughout the expansions, they have been losing more and more significance. Some recruits, as well as the 4 horsemen, were raised during Legion, but now with the destruction of the Lich King and us venturing into the Shadowlands, what exactly is the future of the Death Knights? As we go to death itself, will they continue to be created? Or will they just become a relic of the past? Brought to you by Gamevo.com. Get the cheapest game time on the market, as well as other Warcraft products. Check out the link in the description below. Originally, Death Knights were an entirely different beast. They were created by Gul'dan through infusing his warlocks to the corpses of Stormwind Knights. They share the name and some abilities, but they are much different to what we call Death Knights today. Really, the DKs as we know them were first created by Ner'zhul, with Arthas being one of the initial ones. When the Prince of Lordaeron took over the throne, he truly perfected his art and started really pumping them out as literally the special forces of the Scourge. He raised the strongest warriors and put them through an incredibly brutal trial to get the best of the best and the most ruthless servants. Arthas even went as far as developing an internal sadistic hunger inside them by tying them to the shadows that would constantly torture them if they did not inflict pain. It was a terrible, horrific mechanism that still exists, where a Death Knight would have to commit some form of sadism or they would just completely lose their mind. Well, eventually, Death Knights broke free, the Lich King was defeated, and Bolvar came into power. For a while, they were almost completely irrelevant, and as far as we know, no new DKs were being created. Then in Legion, it was their time to shine. They reconnected with Bolvar, forming a very strange, on-the-edge type of an alliance where they would serve him in return for Bolvar providing them with power and bolstering their order. Most notably, the new 4 horsemen were raised, and then the Death Knights utilized the casualties from the Broken Shore to recruit some new followers. These actions strengthened their numbers, but they weren't that significant. So now in the Shadowlands, Death Knights are once again playing an important role. As we have all seen, Bolvar was defeated by Sylvanas, and the Lich King as an entity ceased to exist. However, as opposed to most on Azeroth, Bolvar probably had the strongest connection to the Shadowlands and was aware of what was going on behind the scenes. In preparation, the Lich King began creating new Death Knights from all possible races, bolstering his strength and maybe even anticipating what was about to happen. As he definitely knows who the Jailer is, it wouldn't be outrageous to say that he probably expected to lose the duel and he knew what Sylvanas was capable of and that he didn't really stand a chance. Now, in the new expansion, Bolvar is sort of playing the role of Khadgar, as he doesn't really have his abilities that he had before, only a small portion of his power, leading us throughout the Shadowlands as he really knows all the intricacies of these realms. However, at this moment, as we go to the realm of the dead and we eventually defeat the threats, seeing as there is no longer a Lich King, are the Death Knights just a thing of the past? How are they going to be created, and will they eventually just go extinct? This is very interesting to think about. Despite us being able to create a Death Knight character at literally any point, Death Knights weren't constantly pumped out, in the lore at least. You sort of time travel to the past and then return to the current point. It is very similar to the Demon Hunters. They aren't made in the millions every time a player creates a character, and they're instead a small but very elite order. Even though we received some new lore, and we will no doubt find a lot more in the Shadowlands, the reality is that we don't really know for sure how a Death Knight is created, as in the actual specifics of the ritual. We know the Lich King plays a role here, however, he doesn't need to do it personally as long as he empowers his servants. Now, a big thing that really contradicts this current point is the fact that Death Knights existed before the Lich King. Sure, they were different, but the mechanism itself was similar. Many would say that these were more Necromancer Knights instead of Death Knights, but do we actually know where the line is between a Death Knight and a Necromancer? It is definitely really blurry. This means that a Warlock is able to create a Death Knight, and most likely a Necromancer as well. How connected these were to the Void or the Shadow Realm, we can't really tell either. I'm expecting us to really learn the mechanisms of how a Death Knight is created within the Shadowlands, as they're 100% tied to it, seeing that most of the Scourge actually originates from the realm. My opinion is that the Death Knights have kind of overstayed their purpose. Originally, they were really tragic characters, heroes that fell in battle and now were psychologically messed up and forced to endure this constant state between life and death. When the newer Legion DKs were created, Bolvar was pretty moral and forceful about it, and it was more of a we will do anything to defeat the Legion, even to endure this new state, just to get a second chance to fight. However, now, what would really even be their point? Why would anyone willingly want to become a Death Knight? Seeing that the Lich King no longer exists and the line between life and death has been broken, they won't even have a new way to exist or bolster their numbers, at least not with the current powers that they possess. Either something will happen in the Shadowlands that will shift the balance and turn us to fight against the Void, which will create a new need for this class, or we will learn something new which will give us a chance to create new Death Knights, but more as resurrected heroes and not really these tragic, psychologically tortured characters as were originally designed by artists. Until then, Death Knights will no doubt play a big role, and I expect this expansion to really be the peak of their story. Thank you for watching. Check out what we're going to do with the sword and Siltus by clicking on the screen, and also check out my second channel on videos on real world history and science. See you next time.